on your left, Ryan Hipp on your right. Jason is someone I am surprised to see here right now. He's very good friends with Jim Davis. I don't know if you traveled here with Jim this weekend, but he's kind of an old school pro. He has a couple of Grand Prix top 8s to his name, and to see him playing Green-White Constellation this weekend, a little bit surprising, though the record is not. I know a lot of people who are watching right now not going to be very familiar with him, but you know, if you get in touch with Jim Davis, this guy's a gamer. Not much of a surprise to see Imperiale with a 5-1-1 record here this weekend. Used to play a lot when I was playing.
Yes, this Green-White Constellation deck, this was one developed by Kyle Bogamus and the Ann Arbor crew at the most recent Pro Tour involving Starfield of Nyx. It actually had a very high finishing record at the Pro Tour.
Kyle did very well with the deck.
Right. Yep. I believe he was, I want to say he was 9-1 with it or something very good.
Yeah, 9-1 or 8-2 at the Pro Tour with the deck. His finish with this style of deck was very, very good. It's kind of an obscure deck. We saw it a little bit last weekend when we were in Worcester. And now we see Herald of the Pantheon here. I mean, when you have Eidolon of Blossoms going, Sigil of the Empty Throne, there are 4 copies of that, 4 copies of Crucifix of Insight, and almost no one playing Back to Nature or a lot of enchantment hate. Like, Dromoka's Command's around, obviously, but this deck overloads Dromoka's Command so much, it's a joke.
Right. Ryan has 1 copy of Tragic Arrogance in the main. That's something that you actually, interesting, talk about his builds in general. He's a big fan of having access to lots of different one-ofs, high impact style cards. It's like a one of, look at this, 1 of Tragic Arrogance, 1 of Stoke the Flames, 1 of Ojutai, actually going more on the lower end here. 2 Ojutai's Command, 2 Magma Sprays, just a lot of 1s and 2s, and then dig through times to kind of try to find specific high impact cards for specific situations.
Hipp activating Jace. Now he's sacrificing a fetch land down to 19 as he gets a basic plains with Flooded Strand. I think he has a Mantis Rider, and he does, so he's going to come across for 3 in the air. Tragic Arrogance is actually quite good against Green-White Constellation. They are an enchantment deck after all, so you can kill most of them. And a lot of their removal is actually based around being an enchantment in Banishing Light and Silk Wrap. So Tragic Arrogance, very good against this deck. We watched a match last weekend from Eric Smith where Eric Smith actually had to cast Tragic Arrogance 3 times in the game to barely beat Green-White Constellation. And ended up losing the match.
Yeah, Jason to Mantis Rider is going to be a powerful start on Ryan's side. Let's see what Imperiale can counter with.
Jason will play another copy of Herald of the Pantheon. Here's a Plains. Perhaps a Banishing Light's on the way. It is. He'll gain 2 life, 1 for each Herald. Banishing Light's on the cheap. Mantis Rider is gone for now. And now here's an attack for 2. So a pretty healthy turn there for Imperiale. We're going to head back Hipp's way. Active Jace over there. Just picked up another copy of Jace. That'll probably be discarded, but we'll see what Ryan wants to discard in just a moment. Picked up a Mountain for the turn.
Have to discard here. See, looks like a copy of, yeah, a Magma Spray picked up. Knows what he's playing against at this point. So get to sculpt his game plan accordingly.
I'll discard a Mountain. Has Haven of the Spirit Dragon in hand. There's a Shivan Reef.
2 Havens. The dragons in the deck are 4 Thunderbreak, 2 Storm Breath, and 1 Ojutai.
Okay. Another Banishing Light to draw here for Jason. Also has a copy of Frontier Siege in hand. Frontier Siege actually going to be kind of free this turn if he wants to deploy it. It only costs 2. He'll gain life from casting it, and then it'll make 2. Here's a Temple of Plenty. Top card going to go to the bottom from the scry. Looks like Jason might be starting with Banishing Light. Maybe some triggers from Herald, so Jason will gain 2 life. Again, Banishing Light on the cheap because of the Heralds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see actually which creature he wants to go for right now.
Both are actually pretty attractive, but I think he's, well, at least he's leaning towards Soulfire Grandmaster, and he'll take care of that. Frontier Siege in hand, can deploy this right now. And he will.
A lot of life gain off these Heralds.
Yep. Cons or dragons, oftentimes players select cons with this. I'd be surprised if dragons is the choice here, though we will get confirmation. It is cons there on the Frontier Siege.
There aren't enough flyers to really... I mean, Sigil of the Empty Throne is the big payoff for dragons in this deck.
You can line them up pretty good with that card.
That combo makes you want to choose dragons,
Yep.
but other than that, I think it just happens to it'll be on cons. Because the deck plays cards like 4 Krufix's Insight and 4 Eidolon Blossoms, you want to continue developing your mana because you can have turns that will require upwards of 10. So if you Krufix's Insight into 2 more enchantments, one of them's an Eidolon, you'll just keep drawing cards. You'll want access to lots of mana.
Here's Dragonlord Ojutai.
And that's that one-of we were talking about. High impact one-ofs in these decks that can be good in certain situations. This might be the one for Ojutai.
Nyx Fleece Ram the draw to go along with another Frontier Siege and a Blossoming Sands. So the one thing Jason doesn't have right now is his payoff cards.
Yeah, with all this setup, cards like, that's why you will see him play things like Krufix's Insight and Eidolon. You have to get to that Sigil. Or Starfield of Nyx.
Another big one. There's Nyx Fleece Ram. It'll gain life, of course, because of Eidolon.
Right.
It'll be a little cheaper. Excuse me, because of Herald, and a little bit cheaper.
Dangers that the Green White Constellation deck is literally the whole deck is sorcery speed. And people know that. So Ojutai is a pretty free attack, especially when you have counter spells for it to get. Now, in Ryan's situation, he doesn't actually have any counter magic in the main that can hit a non-creature spell. Yes, his counter magic is limited to Ojutai's command. He does have 2 Valorous Stance, which will protect against some kinds of removal, but not the type of removal that Jason is going to bring to the matchup. I think the concern here is that Jason may wish he had that one of that Banishing Light back, the one that's on Soulfire Grandmaster. Ryan's got a lot of card advantage between Jason and Ojutai. And Jason doesn't have a clock right now.
Oh, Ryan's got a clock. He just added Stormbreath Dragon to it. And here come the beatdowns.
Well, this is going to be 9 in the air.
Not a lot Jason can do about it. He's got some extra life points to work with because of the Heralds, and he's got a Nyx Fleece Ram that'll gain a little bit of life each turn, but the pressure's being put on here. Fortunately for him, this Dragonlord Ojutai didn't do a very good job with that hit. Looks like it's just going to net a Temple of Epiphany. Now he'll scry. But if you're Jason, you know, right now, it feels like Krufix's Insight is his best draw. Maybe Sigil of the Empty Throne.
So, yeah.
But he's really got to start chaining stuff together.
He was missing the payoff card, and he never really found it.
He'll gain a life here from the Nyx Fleece Ram, go up to 18. Does he find a payoff card here? Sigil of the Empty Throne?
Absolutely, there's your payoff card.
Yep.
It costs 2 fewer from the 2 Heralds, and he has Cons mana, so that he can play it for not much at all.
Yeah, just double white. It's basically free, actually. I mean, it certainly feels that way. And he has a Frontier Siege left in hand.
Right, and we'll see if he sets that one to dragons. It won't work for the first angel.
There's Sigil, gain some life.
It goes to 20 with 1 green floating. Yeah, so when he casts Frontier Siege, he'll get the angel before the siege resolves. So even if he sets the siege to dragons, it's not going to matter.
3 triggers here, 1 from the Sigil, 2 from Heralds.
And now, yeah, you see dragons on that front.
Love it.
Yeah, so we'll check out the text here, just to remind you, as we rarely see this play be made. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. So that's the only flyers he has are those angels. But every time he plays enchantment, he's going to get one. Remember, the angels are white, and Stormbreath Dragon has protection from white, so Ojutai has hexproof a lot of the time. So may or may not work.
Time to discard here in just a moment. There goes Draconic Roar. Jason's going to flip into the Telepath Unbound. A little bit of damage will come across here. And Jason's starting to work his way towards something. Now, if you're Ryan, you want to close out the game as fast as you can because Sigil can really run away with things very quickly. Stormbreath Dragon is in a pretty good spot right now, though. You know, an activation of Monstrosity, is pretty
Right.
attractive here if he's able to do it, because as you mentioned, protection from white against Jason's deck is huge.
And Ryan's hand is pretty loaded too. He has another copy of Draconic Roar, Soulfire Grandmaster. I believe he may even have a Stoke the Flames in hand.
There is Stoke.
Yeah, it's another one of out of the deck. We'll take down the Angel token.
Gain 4 life too. And now here come the dragons again. Much like last turn, it'll be an attack for 9.
This is removing the hexproof though from Ojutai because it's going to be tapped. So if Jason can make an enchantment here, he could fight down the Ojutai.
Trigger from Dragonlord Ojutai. Another kind of weak one there for Hipp.
This one's okay. Ojutai's command is actually among the 3.
Okay.
Most of Jason's enchantments are creatures. They can be countered. Not all, but most.
This is a big draw step here for Jason. He's going to gain a life.
Yeah, he definitely needs an enchantment. Ideally, I guess it would be a Sigil.
Didn't get a great look at the draw step. Kind of hiding it from us. Sigil wouldn't be bad. Crucifix Insight wouldn't be bad. Eidolon of Blossoms could chain him into another card.
Eidolon might be the best draw he could have.
Yeah. It looks like nothing doing there.
Whole deck sorcery speed. The read is that that's a land.
Hipp just wants to make sure he knows what Frontier Siege does on dragons, because it's rare that you see it. When Frontier Siege first hit the scene, the idea was in combination with Hornet Queen, you could go nuts. But that never really panned out for very many people.
Yeah, it'd ramp you into Hornet Queen. It's good when you have a Hornet Queen.
Yeah. But
Turns
it was
out,
rare.
if you get to Hornet Queen, you don't have to worry about these other things.
Yeah, that's correct.
You don't need to make our Hornet Queens better.
Here comes Dragonlord Ojutai and Stormbreath Dragon.
Jace, Thunderbreak Regent, and Soulfire Grandmaster.
Yeah, I like taking Thunderbreak Regent. Just get more stuff in the sky. Like where Ryan Hipp is positioned this game.
Okay, it's hard to lose when you get in 3 hits with Ojutai. We forget just how good that card is because it's fallen out of favor.
Yeah, it came back last weekend in a pretty big way. Look good
That's
for
true.
dragons. Jace's going to tick down. Flashback Draconic Roar. No need to reveal a dragon. Already got 2 on the battlefield. Imperiale going to fall down to 2. And is Hipp able to finish things off here? I think the answer is yes with another Draconic Roar.
And that'll do it.
Ryan Hipp will win game number 1 here over Jason Imperiale. Jeskai Dragons up a game over Green-White Constellation, which means we get to take a look at the sideboard. And we'll start with the Constellation deck, where we've got 4 Boon Satyrs and Starfield with Nyx, 3 copies of Plummet. That's useful here.
Absolutely.
4 Suspension Fields, and then 3 Arashan Clerics.
Well, they're showing some weakness to flyers, and he should be at the ready with these 3 plummets, especially will help him against a card like Stormbreath Dragon. So I would assume he'll use 3 plummets. I don't see him using Arashan Cleric or even really Suspension Field. Suspension Field may be better than Silk Wrap, but it also may not be in this matchup. It's very hard to say. More or less, I would see him staying with the main deck. His Nyx Fleet's Rams are no good, though, and he'll want to board those out.
Other side of things here for Hipp and his Jeskai Dragons deck. 2 Arashan Clerics of his own, 2 Glare of Heresy, 2 Negate, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Anger of the Gods, and then a Tragic Arrogance, an Elspeth Sun's Champion, and Encase and Ice, a Rending Volley, and a Stratus Dancer.
All right, well, we start out with the 2 copies of Glare of Heresy. The green-white Constellation deck has plenty of white targets they can hit with it. I expect to see him go toward that. Extra Tragic Arrogance is also going to be good here. Jason doesn't know about the card yet, but I mean, his whole deck, almost his entire deck is full of enchantments. Tragic Arrogance is a true sweeper, even in the face of what Jason's doing.
Well, these players will be underway here in game number 2 in just a moment, but we are in season 4 here of the Open Series. We kicked things off in Cincinnati with a Todd Anderson win. Last weekend in Worcester, we saw Esper Dragons make its return to Standard. We're here in Milwaukee. We'll take a little break and then head to Indy for the Battle for Zendikar release, so we're very, very excited for that. And as we take a look at our next slat of events, we go to Atlanta, St. Louis, Dallas, and Philly, all shows we've done before, excited to do again. After that, we've got a return trip to Atlanta for a sealed Grand Prix. Then we'll go to Kansas City, little legacy action in New Jersey. We'll do an Open Series in Denver, first time we've been there in about 3 years, so that's exciting. And then the 2 big ones to close out the year. We've got an Invitational in Las Vegas where we're going to behave ourselves, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay, I thought so. Standard modern action there with the standard Open Series main event. And then the Players' Championship in Roanoke, December 19th to the 20th. Me, you, and Patrick Sullivan, 16 players battling it out for $50,000. And of course, on Season 4, when you do sign up for any of those main events, we've got our Hoppin' Rabbit Master playmat. Our parody playmats have been very popular. Thanks to you guys for enjoying them. Tassiper, easily the most popular of the bunch, but Hoppin' Rabbit Master is going to give it a try here for season number 4. Available until December 5th on the Open Series, that date in Denver. And simple to get. You sign up for the main event, you'll get one of these for free. Pretty simple, straightforward stuff here on the Open Series. Looking forward to seeing you guys, hopefully, at all of those dates, but especially that sealed Grand Prix in Atlanta, Battle for Zendikar. I think you're going to be there, right?
Not positive yet, but I would like to show up to it.
Work commitments? You gotta be a working
Yeah,
man.
we're not entirely sure.
All right, well, hopefully we'll see you there. I know Grand Prix Oklahoma City, pretty good tournament there for you. So
right.
If you get to battle in Atlanta, I expect more of the same as we get ready here for more action from Ryan Hipp and Jason Imperiale. Hipp with Jeskai Dragons, again, a player, you said a Minnesota guy.
Yes.
Plays
Yep.
it, your local, different local?
Yeah, he's from the East. Yes, plays that downtown Minneapolis store.
Okay. Very cool, very cool. Having a good tournament here. You said a lot of players from Minneapolis here this weekend, actually.
Well, it's one of the. There isn't one in Minneapolis this year. This is the local one. If you look at the calendar.
How far from here?
About 5-hour drive.
All right. So everybody driving south, do battle here in Milwaukee. I'm hoping we get back to Minnie again. Is it east?
East.
Am I stupid?
Yeah, it's just east.
Okay, I'm sorry. Didn't mean
It's
to
a little
insult you.
south. No. It's south, but more east.
Okay, fair enough. What's south of Minneapolis?
Des Moines.
Ugh. Sorry, Iowans. I'm sorry. I never played in a PTQ there.
In Des Moines or Minneapolis?
Actually, I've played a PTQ in Minneapolis and not Des Moines.
This is when you were living in Indy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a long drive for PTQ.
Yeah, well, like, sometimes you got a game. So,
Sure.
I never did Des Moines. I never did Fargo.
I mean, yeah, Fargo is very hard to get to. The only places, that's not in range for very many cities.
And I never did Madison. Those are the
Wait.
ones I've been
So I
to.
gotta get how you do Minneapolis, but not Madison. You have to drive through. If you go from Indy to Minneapolis, you actually drive through Madison on the way there.
Well, I've never been to a PTQ there. It just
all right.
never lined up. I don't know why. I've been to at least one Minneapolis PTQ, maybe two. I've been in some weird PTQs, man. I've been to a PTQ in Nebraska.
All right.
So there was like a double dip weekend in like 2006 where there was one in St. Louis and then Nebraska.
In like Omaha?
Yeah, in Omaha. So
Sure.
it was like myself, Jerry Thompson, Adam Yurchik.
That's not a short drive either. St. Louis to Omaha is like 6 hours or something.
Yeah.
That double dip week, I don't know if that applies when they're 6 hours apart.
Well, they were on Saturday, Sunday, so it makes it a double dip. So St. Louis,
Like driving through the night. Ugh.
Indy to St. Louis was 4 hours, so that's not bad.
That's not bad.
I've played that one a million times. And then we drove from St. Louis to Omaha, which is like 6 or 7 hours.
About 6, I think.
And then there's the whole drive back from Omaha to Indy.
I mean, it's basically you go through St. Louis. It's like 10 hours. Or
Yeah,
something.
it didn't really work that into the equation when I was younger. I just didn't really think very much of it. Thankfully, Jerry drove like the whole way, but that was a tough trip. And I won one match.
Brutal.
I won one match between the two PTQs.
Oh, good weekend.
Thank you so much.
But that felt worth it
Yeah.
on the drive home.
Thank you so much. 20, I think 20-year-old me, maybe 21, thought that was a good idea at the time.
Biggest drive I made for PTQ, did Thunder Bay, Ontario once.
How far is that?
It's like 7.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never broke the border.
It's the north side of Lake Superior. Yeah.
Yeah, never been over there. Banished Light's going to take care of the Soulfire Grandmaster here for Jason as game number 2 is underway. Mantis Rider the draw. The question, of course, is does Hipp have a red source? He does not. He's got a Flooded Strand for land number 3.
Not yet. Not this week, but soon. No, wait, no, you can't get rid of that, can you? No, okay, never mind. That's the one mana you cannot get off it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I was going to say, you could get in, right, because he has 2 basics.
It would come into play on tap.
Yeah, it would be
attack
great.
with Banished Rider. Yeah, I guess.
No, still can't get rid of that Flooded Strand. It gets all the other colors.
Yeah, it gets all the other colors. Yeah, you're right.
The way you think about it is it cannot get whatever the mutual enemy color is.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what you can't search
That's
for.
what you can't search for.
So Battlefield Forge and Chivalry for the enemy, and you can't search for those.
Right.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of annoying.
You're like, yeah, fetch for this untapped dual of any color. Oh, wait, you can only have untapped 4 of the 5 colors. Okay.
Herald of the Pantheon into Banishing Light, going to get Soulfire Grandmaster off the battlefield again. Jason will gain a life. That'll be his turn. He does have a copy of Sigil of the Empty Throne in hand. Wasn't enough to get it done last game. We'll see if he can do it this game as Hipp will draw, quickly play that Battlefield Forge off the top of his deck, and maybe it is time for Mantis Rider.
Oh, there's the red source, perhaps Mantis Rider. One thing I've noticed that Jason has been pretty trigger happy with these Banishing Lights, just firing them off at the first target. Especially with how last game played out, I don't know, I might have expected him to see him play them a little slower.
Jason will play a Forest.
He's got Sigil.
Yeah, he's got the mana to cast it, so not a problem. Though he seems a little unsure if he wants to deploy it. He also has Boon Satyr in hand.
Well, yeah, if he waits a turn, he could Sigil and Boon Satyr if he has a 6th land, and then make sure he gets his Angel.
I also think he might be trying to get him with Boon Satyr here, right? Like attack and maybe he won't block. Or maybe he will block, excuse me. I kind of love this.
A little bit of Hollywood going on here.
Yeah, I actually kind of love this.
Will Ryan buy it, or is he taking the damage?
Got my head in my hand. I don't have anything. Don't mind me. Ryan says, I'm just going to take the 2. Now here's the Sigil.
Be better if he didn't have the Boon Satyr. That'd be a...
Yeah.
But he does. Here's Sigil. Jason goes to 19. Can Ryan find another glare? He plays 2 in the board, so it could happen. But
Jace can flash one back, but we're a little ways away from that.
Yeah, outside of that, and Tragic Arrogance, those are Ryan's ways to deal with Sigil. With Tragic Arrogance, he has 2 post-board. That could come up.
Well, given the match we watched last weekend, with Eric Smith trying to beat this Green-White Constellation deck, it certainly came up.
Yeah, and Tragic Arrogance actually is in Ryan's hand at the moment.
Jason will untap, picked up a copy of Crewfix's Insight. That was a card he was looking for last game, trust me. So he's going to play it now. He gets to take a look at the top 6 cards of his deck and potentially get 3 of them.
Yeah, that's so good. As long as you're only playing enchantments. You reveal the top 6, put up to 3 enchantments in your hand. So here's an Eidolon, that's 1. Banishing Light makes 2. Sigil makes 3. What a good 3-mana spell. Perfect, totally reasonable.
Yeah, ring-a-ding-ding.
And now with that kind of card advantage, we'll see whether or not Jason will play around something like Tragic Arrogance.
Was that Jason going to just pass the turn back?
Yeah, with double green up, he can end step Boon Satyr and make an Angel. It does a good work around Tragic Arrogance to have that play.
The other thing he can do is he can Boon Satyr and trap Ryan a little bit if he attacks with Mantis Rider, but Ryan has identified maybe something's up here. So he's going to cast Draconic Roar on the end step. Here comes a Boon Satyr. It'll be 1 mana cheaper, of course, because of the Herald. It'll allow Jason to gain a life, but most importantly, he gets to make a 4/4.
Now keep in mind with Tragic Arrogance, you can pick the same card for creature and enchantment. So Ryan can pick Boon Satyr twice and sweep the rest of Jason's board.
And get a Soulfire Grandmaster back.
Yeah, and get the Grandmaster back. It'd be a great turn for Ryan.
That's what makes life pretty tough on the Constellation deck. You know, everyone was thinking, okay, if Constellation's the thing, I'll just sideboard back to Natures and I won't have a problem. And that hasn't been the case because Constellation hasn't been that big of a deal, but Tragic Arrogance is good against a lot of different stuff and just happens to be great against this deck. Makes life pretty tough for the Constellation player. Dragonlord Ojutai, Jason taking a look. We're going to head back his way. Now he knows he's got to deal with this 5/4. Helped Hipp win game number 1.
Well, both these creatures couldn't trade with Ryan's. We'll see if Imperiale is going to get baited into playing a 2nd Sigil. Looks like he might. This is a big win for Ryan.
Yep. Getting to kill 2 of these is brutal.
Unless Jason has a 3rd one.
Attack with Boon Satyr.
Interesting, no swing with the Angel token. Just Boon Satyr.
I think if you're Ryan, you have to take this. I think your master plan is to just leave him with Boon Satyr, right?
Well, yeah. So and that's the concern, right? Is that now that you've made that block, your Tragic Arrogance has been worse because you have to leave him with an Angel.
Yep.
I agree. I think I want to just take that and then cast Tragic Arrogance and leave him with only Boon Satyr.
Stormbreath Dragon the draw here for Hipp.
Because now when you Tragic Arrogance, Jason will still have a flying blocker left.
Well, we'll see what's next here for Hipp. I mean, he can cash in the Tragic Arrogance right now. It's relatively good. You see kind of the finger dance going on here. That's the Magic player doing the math on how much damage they can deal. Stormbreath Dragon is certainly attractive right now. That's what he's going to go with, though. It's unclear if he's attacking with it. No, now he will. So, Imperiale is going to fall down to 10. Protection from white is fairly powerful, as you can see.
Seems like Ryan's planning to trade away Ojutai for an Angel token.
I definitely think he's trying to bait Jason into something here.
That's the play style that, you know, that is one of Ryan's play styles. He definitely likes to, it's one of the reasons he plays a lot of one-ofs in his style decks. Does like to set traps frequently in playing. And often gets big payouts for it.
Like this?
Right, I mean, this trap has been set and it's gonna be big.
Jeez.
Swing puts Ryan to 8. I mean, if you're Jason, you have to think there's no way Ryan has a Tragic Arrogance in his hand anymore, right?
He would have cast it by now?
Yeah.
I mean, if he top decks it on me, good beats, but he's had it in his hand the entire time.
He can pick a tapped Angel now if he wants.
That's even better.
Or perhaps he just wants Stormbreath Dragon. It's close. Because Ryan's taken so much incremental damage, it's close.
Stormbreath's coming in. And now is the time to pull the trigger on the Tragic Arrogance. I have to imagine that it is.
All right.
The problem here for Ryan is that he may have gotten a little too cute here, right?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's getting a lot of value out of it. Jason's going to lose all 3 sigils and 3 angels. It'll be Stormbreath versus Angel token.
But he also loses the banishing. Well, I guess
he loses to Boon Satyr on the spot. And,
yep.
and Jason bluffed a Boon Satyr earlier.
Yep.
So it does feel like he's gotten too cute. I think he's going to lose on this turn right now. Jason can just bestow Boon Satyr and attack.
Blossoming Sands will move Jason up to 7, but yeah, Boon Satyr plus Angel
is lethal.
It's lethal right now.
Yeah. And there we go to game 3.
Yeah, so Jason Imperiale is going to tie things up here against Ryan Hipp. Green-White Constellation and Jeskai Dragon's getting ready for a 3rd game. And I think that Ryan could have...
Yeah, I think
he could have done a lot better that game with the resources that he had.
When there was an Ojutai in play on Ryan's side and a Boon Satyr on Jason's side, at that point, I don't know how much more value you need to get out of Tragic Arrogance. You can just pick the Boon Satyr, let everything but Boon Satyr and Ojutai die, get your Soulfire Grandmaster back, hit him for 4, connect with an Ojutai. I like where we are now.
I love where we are if that's where the game goes. And then he ends up drawing a copy of Stormbreath Dragon, can continue turning the corner. Maybe Soulfire Grandmaster starts, starts rebuying spells and gaining life. And I think that he had the cards to win that game. I just don't think that he played them correctly that game. I think he got a little too fancy.
And I understand it. A lot of times, if you feel like you're playing a matchup where you are an underdog, you need to set traps. You need to, if you play all your cards at face value and get reasonable exchanges off them, it may not be enough if you're at a disadvantage. So if Ryan feels like he's behind here, then the idea of, hey, this Tragic Arrogance needs to get 2 sigils. I need to get him with this. That becomes a better plan. But on that board, because he had an Ojutai, because he had a Tragic Arrogance, even if he feels like this is a bad matchup, I don't feel like that's a bad hand for the matchup. So I don't need to be as greedy.
Well, we're going to see how Game Number 3 does play out here in just a moment. Ryan Hipp will be on the play. But in the meantime, we'll talk about the Star City Games YouTube page, where you can find archives of this Open Series event here from Milwaukee. Versus Series archives, our premium Magic Online archives from Jerry Thompson, Ari Lax, Sean McLaren, and the bunch. And also specialty content like unboxings and a whole bunch more. YouTube.com/StarCityGames. Subscribe today. Be one of over 70,000 subscribers to our YouTube page. Again, youtube.com/StarCityGames, as game number 3 here between Jason Imperiale and Ryan Hipp about to be underway. Green-White Constellation versus Jeskai Dragons. Jeskai Dragons will be on the play. And we'll see if Hipp is able to get this one done. I do think the matchup is relatively favorable for him. I think Stormbreath Dragon plays a huge role. I like Mantis Rider on the early turns, though.
And I love double Tragic Arrogance.
Yeah, and to me, that's the MVP. I'm thrilled to have access to that card in this matchup. Just don't want to try to get too much with it. I think he could. I mean,
he got 3 sigils with it. Let's not overlook the fact that that's an enormous amount of resources. He just paid too many. He paid too many life points for that blowout.
Yeah.
But it was a great, that was a blowout. Because like I said it before during the match, if I was Imperiale, I would have to think, I would walk away from that game thinking he top decked the Tragic Arrogance, but it was too late. That's what I would have thought happened. But then if Jason will go back and maybe watch this and be like, wait, he had it the whole time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, how did I win that game?
Right.
Hipp with the Temple of Triumph, Imperiale with the Blossoming Sands to start game number 3. There's a mountain for Hipp. And now Soulfire Grandmaster will pass the turn back over to Jason. Jason will draw a copy of Sigil, again, playing 4 copies of that card this weekend.
You know, I think it's pretty simple. That's the cog of the deck.
Yeah.
It's the card.
Windswept Heath will search up a forest. Imperiale back down to 20.
He's had a Herald of the Pantheon every turn 2 so far. Can he do it for 3 for 3? No, but he can wrap the Soulfire Grandmaster up in some silk.
I guess we're going back Hipp's way. Is Hipp having any mana issues this game? Well, no blue mana. So the answer is yes.
Looks like he has Glare, so he can get back his own Soulfire.
Back to Jason we go.
You can only wrap up small creatures in silk, because if they're too big, they just tear it up. I guess that's the flavor.
You're the flavor police now.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Can't wrap up Dragon Lord Ojutai and silk ribbons. You wouldn't stand for that.
It depends how much silk you have, right? Yeah, enough of anything and get the job done.
I don't know if Ojutai breathes fire. I don't know what kind of dragon he is. Depending on whether or not he's a fire-breathing dragon, I don't know if the quantity of silk matters. If he's a blue dragon or a white dragon, which I'd expect he's one of the two, then I don't believe either of those breathe fire. If I remember D&D right.
I'll have to Google it. I don't know. Twitter, answer Matthias' question.
This is important.
Super important to the game that we're watching. Can Dragon Lord Ojutai breathe fire through silk? A lot of it, not a little.
Just has to do with what kind of brood of dragon he is.
Correct.
Like Atarka definitely breathes fire. She's a red or green dragon. Both those breathe fire.
Correct.
I think.
Man,
I'm not. I'm just gonna get corrected a bunch on Twitter. Is what's gonna happen.
Here's an Eidolon. Top card of the deck now is a Boon Satyr. Plains was the draw.
Either way, Jason's doing a great job of staying close to 20 while building his way up toward the end game of Sigil.
Magma Spray is going to take care of Eidolon for good. It'll be exiled. Apparently, Ojutai breathes ice.
Wait, because Ojutai's breath freezes creatures. It's a rebound spell.
Boom.
Boom. Oh my gosh. We can't believe we didn't know that.
Speak for yourself. Don't bring me into this. Can't believe
played the card.
Can't believe
it freezes
you
it.
didn't
Tap
know
it. It
that.
doesn't untap. Ah.
Here's a Sigil of the Empty Throne. Hipp. Well, he found the land, but it's still not blue mana. It's a Temple of Triumph. Top card to the bottom. Very quick scry there for Ryan.
And this is really tough. See, for example, he's had this negate in his hand. It would have been perfect in the situation. The lack of blue mana is just going to catch up to him here. If he had a card like Tragic Arrogance in his hand, he could dig his way out of this hole. But I mean, remember, this whole deck's enchantment. Sigil is going to end the game very quickly.
Silkwrap's going to take care of Soulfire Grandmaster. Angel will be made. Here comes an attack from the Courser. Imperiale will just pass the turn back. Boon Satyr at the ready on the end step. Here's a Thunderbreak Regent. I think we're going to get a Boon Satyr because it's going to bring an Angel along with it.
Yeah, 8 power on the end step seems pretty reasonable.
I've seen worse turns. Here's Boon Satyr. Trigger the Sigil. Another Angel token.
Remember, Ryan Hipp a lock for day 2, regardless of the outcome of this match. Imperiale, if he takes down this game, will also be locked in.
Boon Satyr the draw there for Jason. So 1 on the battlefield, 1 in the grip. Is there a good follow-up here for Jay? Yeah, there is. It's Plummet. He does take 3, but I'm sure he doesn't mind.
He'll throw up Ryan throwing his hands up a bit there. He knows that his window for victory has passed.
Yeah, Jay's just too far ahead now. Yeah, there's
Land
a plains.
5, not anything doing. No, it would have taken Tragic Arrogance there, and not even that. So in 3, Jason Imperiale defeats Ryan Hipp to lock his spot into day 2 at 6-1-1.
Yeah, Green One Constellation will take care of Jeskai Dragons, and for Imperiale, who when I have a moment, I'm gonna have to go say hi to. I haven't seen him in years. I was actually surprised to see him here this week. And again, very good friend of Jim Davis. Off to a really nice start here with Green White Constellation, and as you mentioned, he's locked up his berth into day number 2 now.
Let's go in Constellation.